So people seem kind of split, it seems, on the whole idea of Magical Mystery Cure being like a musical episode, with the 7 songs in there. I hear a lot of people sort of talk about, oh, it sucks because it's a musical. It's like, well, no, it doesn't suck because it's a musical. It's just, if you're obviously just not into musicals, so, you're not into this episode. But, a fairer way to judge that kind of episode, I think, is just to simply ask, does it work as a musical? And the best way to look at that is simply just to sort of see, do the songs work? I'm not really very into musicals myself. I enjoy a few of them, The Sound of Music, the Disney films, if you consider them musicals, Avenue Q, there's a few others I think I kind of enjoy. But I'm not hugely into musicals. But it does sort of raise an interesting kind of topic of debate here, I think, which is that judging songs is not something I look particularly deeply into. I mean, I'm very into music. I have all kinds of bands that I listen to regularly. I have tons of songs on my iTunes and whatever. I'm very into music, certainly. But I don't really understand how music works in any particular way. My only real critiquing of music really consists of just simply listening to a song and deciding whether or not it sounds good to me. Is it the kind of song that I would listen to over and over again? So that's really the only way that I really look at songs in musicals, or the Disney films, or any other film or TV show with songs in, and I suppose MLP as well. And until I started reviewing MLP, it never really occurred to me that reviewing songs in films or TV shows is really any different from just reviewing or critiquing songs that you hear on the radio. It's just a case for me of, do they sound good? But what I've come to realise from reviewing MLP is there is another element to songs, like in TV shows and films, that you have to look at that is not something you would look at if you were just listening to a song on the radio, and that's how they work from a narrative perspective. How do they contribute to the story? So, for example, a criticism I hear about Magical Mystery Cure, for example, is the first song, Morning in Ponyville. People don't understand these lyrics of Twilight talking about how everything is fine in Ponyville, when obviously tons of things have gone wrong in the past. And my immediate thought to that kind of criticism is, yeah, but it's a nice song, so who cares? You look back at like rock songs in the 50s and you listen to the lyrics to them, they really don't make a whole lot of sense at all. Rock Around the Clock, for example, one of the very first rock songs. You look at the lyrics to that, they make no sense at all. But that doesn't matter because it's just a great song to listen to. That really is something that had never really occurred to me when I listened to songs before. Do they make sense? Do the lyrics make sense? That's not something I've ever really thought about much. I suppose it's because, I'm just not really very picky about the music I listen to. It's just a case of, does it sound nice to me? Because I don't really know anything about music. I don't understand how it works. I have no musical talent whatsoever. I can't sing and I've never played an instrument. To me, I think that kind of thing is more sort of part of whether or not the episode makes sense, as opposed to, whether or not it's a good song. And those are separate entities to me. Morning in Ponyville, whether or not the lyrics make sense, it sounds good to me, so it's a good song. The lyrics not making sense is more a sort of thing I would sort of put into the category of just judging, whether or not the story kind of makes sense. A True Friend would be another one, I think, where people have criticised it in that kind of way. It's like the lyrics are repetitive, it's telling us stuff we already know. It doesn't matter to me about that. It's just a good song. It's nice to listen to. In fact, I think it's one of the best songs the show has ever had. It's just such an emotional kind of... Again, I just can't review songs. It's very difficult for me to describe why I like the song. It just grabs me emotionally, I think. Just the way that song plays out, the instrumentals to it, the way the lyrics are delivered. Again, I think you can probably tell I'm not a music critic. I can't really explain properly why I like songs. It's just a case for me of whether or not it sounds good. I need to stop saying that. But I suppose from a storytelling perspective, things like that kind of are important. And it's just not something that's ever occurred to me before. It's just, is this something that is an important factor in critiquing the episode? Whether or not the lyrics to a song make sense, whether or not from a storytelling perspective, what happens during the song. I mean, there are things that happen in the song A True Friend that, from a narrative standpoint, actually don't make sense to me, and I actually have sort of asked questions about. But that's a separate entity from the song, as far as I'm concerned. The song is just what you listen to. There are a couple of visuals during the True Friend sequence but I won't go into that here because that's not what this video is about. Am I judging the songs in the wrong kind of way? I mean, there's another reviewer actually. I remember a few years ago he reviewed The Lion King. It was an extremely negative review, and one of the criticisms he made was he didn't like the way Be Prepared didn't give us any new information. and he dismissed Be Prepared as pointless for that reason. I'm like, really? Be Prepared? This awesome song is pointless just because it doesn't give us any new information? How about the fact that it's just a great song? And he actually did say, I think later on or something, after I emailed him about this, he actually said, well, yeah, it's a great song on its own. Kind of interesting that, the way that you can look at songs in films or TV shows in sort of two separate ways. Do they serve a purpose to the story, and are they great songs on their own? What is the best way to approach this is something that's kind of puzzling me, I think, at the moment, because up until this point I've only really looked at songs in this show as just whether or not they are good songs on their own. I've not really sort of thought about it in sort of two ways, how it contributes to the episode and how it just works as a song. And how can you bring these two factors together and sort of judge, whether or not it works in the episode as a whole, whether or not the song being good necessarily makes the episode good, whether or not the song being bad might make the episode bad. I think one major reason why May the Best Pet Win didn't work for me actually was because I didn't think Find a Pet was a particularly good song, which is a very subjective criticism, obviously, but from a personal perspective, that was a big issue for me because it was such a big piece, such a prominent part of the episode, and it wasn't a good song as far as I was concerned. It's very difficult for me to judge because I don't really understand the analytics of music and what makes good music or not, so it's not really fair for me to be critical of it in any kind of particular way other than just simply to say, I liked it, I didn't like it. I'm interested to know if you guys have any feedback on this kind of issue. Should I be judging the songs in this show any differently from how I would judge just a song I hear on the radio? Or should I, have sort of two sort of things I look at in songs, how they work from a narrative standpoint and how they work as songs? And how important are these two entities when you combine the two? So just let me know what you guys think about that. It's something that's been bugging me recently. And one other thing I want to talk about briefly today, guys. The beard. I've had it for a couple of years now. I mean, there was a brief period, I think about a year ago, where I shaved it off just because little silly shenanigans at a party, and I thought I was better off just shaving off and waiting for it to grow back. And actually, a lot of people actually did like the way I looked without the beard, so I actually kept it that way for a while before growing it back because I just couldn't be bothered shaving all of this. But there have been quite a few people now actually who have been saying to me the beard looks terrible, and my girlfriend hates it as well. I'm interested to know actually what you guys think, but I don't want you clogging up the comments section to this video with keep the beard, don't keep the beard, or anything like that. So I'm going to post a separate video about this, which I'm going to put a link to in the description, where you can express your thoughts about that. And yes, I know what a lot of you are going to say straight away, it's up to you. Yes, I know it's up to me, guys, but I'm interested to know what you think, what would you advise, if you were me, what would you do? Just let me know about that, guys, and I will see you again soon. Yeah, that's it.